Hello everyone, this is Moby's Primal, and I am back with another Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. I seem to be ping-ponging between the Beastmen opponents. This is, I'm against the Beastmen player that is a relatively newer player. Anyway, we rolled up a Dawn attack scenario, 2,400 points. Let's just go ahead and get it on. Going down my opponent's lines, starting from my right, he has a single Razor Gore. Next to that, he has a unit of 6 Minotaurs. The Minotaur in the center of that Minotaur unit, that's actually his Gorebull BSB, who's carrying the Rampager Standard and some other gear. Behind that is his Doombull General, who has the Ramhorn helm build and the Brass Cleaver, so he is a ton of extra attack guy. Then he has a Tuskor Chariot and a level 2 Shadow Mage with a feedback scroll. And then moving on to his left flank, he has, or my left flank, he has a small unit of Furies up front, then a large unit of Gore with a medium-sized Bestigore unit next to him. They have the standard discipline. Then finishing up in the back there, he has some Chaos Warhounds and a rather large unit of skirmishing Ungor Raiders. And then he has a unit of Gore that's ambushing also. Looking down my lines, and this is on my right flank, and when my BSB got into the right flank, I pretty much decided I had to kind of shoehorn the rest of my army in here because she's critical to all the peasants. So I've got the Men-at-Arms there with the Jorah, then I have some archers, plus my knights there with Delita, more Men-at-Arms. Sam joined them so she can grant the blessing. The Honor Guard, who's being led by Elliot, even though her leadership is lower than theirs. And then I have the Fast Cavalry and Trebuchet there. On my left flank, I have... it's much more sparse. I have the second Fast Cab, Treb, and Archer unit, and then plus my Pegasus Knights are there. So I go ahead and pray, and my opponent takes first turn, but on the right, the only unit that advances is the Razor Gore. The other Minotaur units just pretty much hold fast. On his left flank, the Gore begin to wheel towards the bulk of my army. Also, you can see here the Furies, they sidle up onto the Honor Guard so they can put my Trebuchet in danger, but that pretty much does it for movement. Magic sees Curse of Anwar here on my Knights, and then the Shadow Mage miscast putting Miasma on, Malakov's Miasma on the Pegasus, and that ends up causing a wound to both mages, which would be critical. So Heartless 1, a lot of weird moves I utilize here to save the Trebuchet. The Men-at-Arms with Elliot, they back up, and the Honor Guard do a swift reform into a horde formation, so I can basically close in on that Trebuchet so you can't fit my opponent can't fit the Furies in there. My Knights and Fast Cav advance, and also so does the other infantry unit, but not so much that I'm overextending myself, threatening to be in combo charge or something like that. The units on my left flank start to move forward while splitting up. My Pegasus are in a pretty nice position that they can charge either the Ungor or the Warhounds without being visible to the Bestigore. Nothing critical during magic, but in shooting, both my Trebuchets hit the Gore unit, and then they squish 14 of those guys. Other than that, no combat's going on yet, so here's the board into Beastmen 2. So my opponent forgot last turn that he has that ambushing Gore unit, but they came in this turn, they come on my left flank in a position to threaten both my Trebuchet and my Archer unit. The Gore move up into the center, backed up by the Doombull, while the Bestigore turn to face the where the Ungor Raiders are. And this has me a little worried to charge my Pegasus into the Ungor, because whether those Ungor flee or get beaten in combat, it probably is going to put my Pegasus right in the crosshair of the Bestigore, and that's not where I want him to be. On the right flank, the Razor Gore has just barely enough movement to sneak by my infantry, but the Minotaurs and Chariots, they just back up. They're not pushing. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious. I'm okay with that. It's just, if I'm not getting pressured by those units, my Knights can use their attention elsewhere, like the Gore in the center, which is what I do. So you really can't see it, but my Fast Cavalry are blocking the Gore at the corner, so my Knights and Infantry move up so they can charge next turn without any chance of being rebutted in my opponent's next. Meanwhile, I reform my other Men-at-Arms into a horde to block the Razor Gore from charging my fragile Trebuchet or my Archers. Over on the left, I surge my Fast Cavalry up because I see an opening against that Mage, and then I move my Pegasi in to support them from behind, because I just still wanted to take that risk of getting them caught by the Bestigore. I figure I have flexibility of a 20-inch flight move, so I may as well use it. And then speaking of flexibility, the yeomen flaunt theirs when they're able to shoot down that Beast Mage, do the second wound. Remember, he already took a wound from the miscast. So stunting your opponent's magic is always nice. That's about the highlight of the turn. We move into Beastmen turn 3. The Furies had abandoned the Trebuchet hunt last turn. On that right Trebuchet, there was just too many units in the way. They stuck their sights on the much less defended one, and in this turn they connect a charge with it. The ambushing Gore, they charged my Archers. I fled with them, and then the Ungor charged them back, which ping-ponged them back towards the Gore, but both units ended up failing the charge on the Archers. I think the Gore needed like a 6, and they rolled a 4. So my Archers get to stick around and try to rally for a turn. Other than that, the Bestigor turned to face the Pegasi again, and the dogs just start wandering around in the backfield. You know, my opponent just hasn't really learned how to use them yet. What he needs to do is take a 10th dog, split the unit into 2 units of 5, and use them as deployment stallers and redirectors. Additionally, the Razor Gore sneaks past my wall of men-at-arms. Yeah, I don't think I can delay the charge anymore at this point. Maybe I can take him down with shooting. I did 1 wound last round, even though I was shooting through my own guys' heavy cover. Then in combat, the Furies, of course, they rip apart the Trebuchet crew. No surprise there. So it's kind of done its job. It diminished that Gore unit. So, table shot before we go into Heartless III. I charge with both my men-at-arms and the Knights into the Gore, but only the Knights make it. I really wanted the Peasants in there just for rank bonus, but oh well. Regular old movement, my Horde now turns to face the Razor Gore, so they can countercharge if the Razor Gore charges the Archers. And Sam positioned herself on the hill, try to get some nasty Amber Spear shots into the Minotaurs maybe. And my Honor Guard turn around so they can counter the Razor Gore if he charges the Trebuchet. So either way that the Razor Gore goes, I should be able to catch him in a turn or 2. My Archers failed to rally, and I decided to move my Pegasus Knights back here. So once the Gore catch and kill him, I can get an easy charge off on him. I bunked it up last game, but I figure they're probably due. During Magic, Elliot was able to morph into the high level dragon, did a boosted transformation to Canaan, but I took wounds doing it because that Shadow Mage back on the other side of the table used a feedback scroll, and I took 2 wounds. During combat, my Knights just absolutely crush and run down the Gore. I think I did like 6 or 7 wounds. Didn't lose any guys in return and ran them down, but now I'm really exposed to the countercharge from the Chariot and all the Minotaurs that my opponent had set up last turn. Going into Beastmen 4, unfortunately, of the 3 charges declared, only the Chariot makes it. So even with the Rampager reroll, the Minotaurs fail to get in, and you know, now I'm not so worried. The Chariot, you know, I have a decent chance of cutting it in half with a Heroic Killing Blow, and you know, impact hits aren't terribly deadly to me. Over on the left, another round of ping-ponging with the Archers between the Gore and the Ungore, and they're caught this time. The Ungore pushed them back towards the Gore close enough that they made an easy charge and reformed them so they can receive the charge from the Pegasus next turn. The Razor Gore gets in with the Trebuchet. The only other moves there are the Fury they get behind the Pegasi just to get out of range or get out of line of sight, and the Bestigor move closer to the Knights. Then the Magic phase. The Shadow Mage miscasts an Occam's Mind Razor on the Chariot. He loses his spells doing it, but I think that's worth it because now I'm not so confident about my Knights. Those impact hits become Strength 7, and then the Gore in there becomes Strength 8 because he has a spear, and the Bestigor becomes Strength 9 because he has a great weapon. So that could potentially cause a lot of damage to my Knights. Psych! My opponent gets super unlucky and rolls a 1 for his impact hits, which does kill a Knight, but then Delita makes way and bravely cuts that thing in half before any of the crew get to attack, so crisis averted. So I'm feeling pretty good going into Heartless 4. Pegasus Knights charged into the Gore, while the Honor Guard charged the Razor Gore just to bail out the Trebuchet, who miraculously had held in combat last round. Also, Sam charged off the hill into the Beastman Shaman. I have a sneaky little plan here that I hope works out in a minute. For regular old movement, my Knights don't want they don't want any piece of the Bestigor, so I swoop them out of the way and block the Bestigor with the fast cavalry, and then get the men-at-arms into position to receive their charge in a turn. Then Dragon Elliot moves up onto the hill. In the Magic phase, so this works out perfectly. I throw 6 dice at Weissens onto Sam, get a miscast, and the result does the 2nd wound on the Shaman. So that's kind of an indirect way to kill a mage. Charge your mage in, get a miscast, and use that damage to kill off your opponent. But then my opponent answers right back by dispelling the transformation to Kadan, which kills Elliot off because she had 2 wounds from that feedback scroll earlier. So, rather peculiar Magic phase where we both players saw the loss of a mage in a rather unconventional means. In hand-to-hand combat, I cannot finish off that darn Razor Gore before it kills my Trebuchet. I do break it in combat, but I can't chase it down. Way over on the other side of the board, Pegasus Knights do alright. I think they kill like 4 or 5. And then the Gore are a total letdown. They throw a pair of 1s for Primal Fury, so they get Frenzy and Hatred. They have like 20 attacks, and it amounts to 1 single wound. I win combat. The Gore are steadfast, but they botch the roll because they're only leadership 7, and there's no general or BSB around to help them. So just unlucky dice rolls there. We move into Beastmen 5, and the Doom Bull charges the fast cavalry, and I elect to flee, which pops them out through the Knights, and then the Ungor charge fast cavalry, which pops them through the Furies and puts them off the table. So pretty sneaky there. Beyond that, the Bestigor charged my infantry, and but the Minotaurs failed to get in yet again, even with the Rampager standard. So I'm suddenly okay with this combat because this is the peasant unit that has the blessing from way back before in turn 1. So they should be able to shrug off most of the damage with their ward save. Also, this during Razorgore rallies, and pretty much after that we're right back to the center for combat because there's no magic or shooting or anything. My peasants, they cannot break the curse from last game. If you watch my last battle report, I played Beastmen, and against Bestigors in 3 rounds, I think I did 2 wounds. This turn, I did 1 single wound to the Bestigor here, and then I took 6 in return. So I stick around next to my BSB nearby, but it's just like, ugh, these guys, will they ever perform? Game is winding down. We move into Heartless 5. My Honor Guard failed to charge on the Razorgore, as do my Men-at-Arms going into flanking Minotaurs. You know, I don't know how that combat would have gone. Actually, I do. I would have probably got my butt kicked, just like any other time I fight Ogre-style enemies with my peasants. My Pegasus do get into hand-to-hand combat with the Ungor, and they managed to kill a Pegasus with stand and shoot, but still feeling pretty confident there. Then during the shooting phase, during the magic phase, Sam boosts an Amber Spear through the Minotaurs and kills off 3 Minotaurs, which is a max because there were so few ranks there. It feels good, but it's not worth any points if I can't seal the deal and kill them all off before the end of the game, and time is running out in those regards. So in combat, of course, the Pegasus blast the Undergores, not unexpected, but what was unexpected was my Heartless Infantry finally come through. I think I hit 9 times and killed 5 Bestigor, and I blocked all the wounds but 3. I think he did 9 wounds to me, and I blocked 6 of them with a 5-up ward save. It sees the Bestigor break, but they have on some like crazy Nike shoes or something like that, and they get away. I can't catch them. So it's the final Beastman turn. The Minotaurs charge the flank of my infantry, and I elect to flee. And then they redirect into my BSB, who I elect to also flee. Don't want to take the risk of losing her. And then that stupid Razorgore has been sitting on 3 wounds since the last time my Honor Guard got to grips with it. It charges the rear of my archers. And this is a picture after combat, but it can't break the steadfast. It can't break the steadfast. I still have 5 guys, but I'm only leadership 5, and I hold. So it's my final turn of the game, and I charge both my knights and the infantry horde into the Minotaurs, but both units fail. And then the Honor Guard get in against the Razorgore, but I can't do the final wound. And then my static combat res is so high, but it continues to frustrate me that the Razorgore rolls insane courage to break. So at the end of the game, things look like this. Major victory for the Heartless army. After the game, my opponent and I were having a discussion / argument about how he doesn't have the speed to take me on, and I'm like, dude, your Minotaurs move 12 inches and you keep moving back every turn, and that lets me shoot you with trebuchets and get into position and stuff like that. Why are you being so timid? And then he concedes that if I charge him with my knights, I'll just wipe him off the table, which I don't really think that would happen. And then I even decided I would show him by rolling out dice for an example combat, and of course, when I was doing that, the dice saw my heroic killing blow general take out 2 Minotaurs, and I only lost three guys after armor and ward saves. So that it would have gone my way. So of course now I'm rethinking how I may deal with Minotaurs in the future with my Knight Lance. So insert evil spaghetti western laugh here. Anyway, that's the report. Hope you enjoyed it.